Moving ahead to understand the second basic feature of electric charge, which is conservation of a charge, where it is stated that an electric charge in an isolated system cannot be created and neither be destroyed. But this question often arises: how did the initial charge in the universe originate? It is said and believed that the energy of sound which occurred from the word Om has created this universe, and the vibration from the frequency of this sound has given life to the living bodies in this universe. So we can understand this universe as an isolated system where every living organism is an electric charge which can neither be created and nor be destroyed. It's just their charges can be transferred from one body to another body to maintain the balance and harmony in the universe. And this cycle is known as the cosmos cycle, which was beautifully depicted by the dance of the Lord Shiva, the creator of this universe, by his Nataraj pose. If I explain in simple words, then this pose is a symbolic representation of creation, preservation, and destruction. The connection between the Nataraj posture and the conservation of electric charge lies in the depiction of balance and preservation. Just as Shiva maintains the balance in the cosmic cycle, similarly the conservation of electric charge maintains the balance in the physical world. When electrons move from one object to another, the total charge of the system remains constant. So while the Nataraj posture is a symbolic representation of cosmic balance, it can also serve as a metaphor for the conservation of electric charge, highlighting the interconnectedness of physical laws and spiritual symbolism. Coming back to the concept of conservation of charge, where it is stated that the total charge of an isolated system remains constant at all points in time. Let's understand this with an experiment where we have two glass rods and two pieces of silk cloth. At first, we can imagine that the net charge on both of the object is 0, with a piece of silk cloth and a glass rod having neutral charge with equal amount of protons and electrons. Before moving ahead, here you can see that the electrons are held by the protons over them, and we know that the glass rod is a conductive body, so it can pass their free electron. Free electrons, if anybody doesn't know what free electrons are, then I can explain to you in a simple language that free electrons reside in an atom's outer shell as valence electron and are easily plugged off and carried around when acted upon by an outside force. But how easy it is for electrons to move around depends on the material, and we describe the material in the same manner we do for heat transfer with conductors and insulators. Now, coming back to the experiment, here I have a neutral charged glass rod in my one hand and a silk cloth in another hand. When I start rubbing this glass rod with the silk cloth, what you will feel is that the cloth has become the negatively charged body by plucking the free electrons from the glass rod, and the glass rod becomes the positively charged body. This is because when you start rubbing the glass rod, so due to friction, thermal energy is produced, and the electron in the outermost shell of an atom absorbs the energy and jump out of an atom, leaving the atom positively charged. And I did the same activity with another pair of glass rod and a silk cloth. After performing this, you will feel that the glass rod and a silk cloth is getting attracted towards each other, and when we will bring both the glass rods together, then we will see that the glass rods start repelling each other. But this was the case where we took both the conductive body and rubbed them with silk cloth. Now imagine having an insulated body like a plastic rod, which has a charge on it, but doesn't allow electrons to move from one body to another. When a plastic rod is rubbed with silk cloth, the plastic rod becomes negatively charged because electrons from the silk cloth move to the plastic rod, leaving rod with an excess of electron. and this is due to the plastic having a stronger attraction of electron than the silk cloth. The silk cloth then becomes positively charged. And now when we bring positive glass rod towards the plastic rod, it will attract the glass rod. Isn't this process was interesting? This complete process which I just performed is known as charging by friction. Now the question arises, despite the transfer of charge from one object to another, does the net charge of the system remain zero? Let's understand with the simulation on simbucket.com. Here you can see that we have a balloon and a woolen cloth. The balloon doesn't have any charge on it, and the woolen cloth is a neutral charge body with 45 electrons and protons on it. When I rub the balloon on the woolen, then all the 45 free electrons are plugged off by the balloon and the woolen cloth becomes the positively charged body. Now the net charge of the woolen has become plus 45e and the net charge on the balloon has become minus 45e. So here we can see the charge is transferred from one body to another, but the net charge is still zero. The formula for calculating net charge is equal to positive electrons minus negative electrons. Now here the situation is created where the object is having an imbalance of charge and will desperately try to pass them on to any other conductive or insulating body to attain equilibrium. When an excessive negative charge body comes in contact with any conductive or insulating body, it starts transferring the charge on them just by contact, and this process of transferring charge is known as charging by contact.